Okay, so like my, for example, if I dress up as a unicorn, let's say, in the real world, maybe people will think I'm crazy, right? But in the metaverse, that might be considered as a luxury outfit. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to get you noticed, even in the virtual world. If you are dressed as a unicorn. But I think we're going to see a completely different kind of fashion expression in the
Mhm.
virtual world. You can dress up as anything you want in the virtual world without suffering the consequences of maybe somebody looking at you strange. And well, it depends on the price of the outfit. It depends on how unique this our skin basically is. Maybe if it's a unique NFT that was purchased for a huge sum, it can be considered a luxury goods. You know.
Okay. And what about the fashion shows that are happening on Metaverse? Is it something that let's put I want to ask it a bit differently. Like, for example, we have Fashion Week in Paris. Okay, so a lot of
Yeah.
people are going there, they're watching this fashion show live. Do you think in the future there might be a parallel metaverse Paris Fashion Week and a real world, let's say, Paris Week, or these two can happen at the same time?
Well, both. I think we are going to have virtual fashion weeks. We already had a Metaverse Fashion Week. The first one was the beginning of this year. I just attended a Metaverse fashion event, like kind of a conference, this last week. But I would like to say that we are still technologically limited. There are still things that need to be developed in order for the virtual fashion week to look good,
Mm-hmm.
because just because of the amount of data and the look of the clothes. Um, in my personal opinion, the clothes still don't look so good.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the avatars just walking the runway, I think it can be portrayed much better, which is not the fault of the brands. It is it is because of our technological limitations that we'll still have. The fact that people are tuning into that Metaverse Fashion Week from different places in the world, from different devices. Um, on some devices it looks better, on some it looks worse, on some there's a lot of glitching and it simply does not look good. So basically we are still limited, but let's imagine that in the future, and it is just a matter of time. This is why we need to be very enthusiastic and to make sure that um, we position ourselves. When I say we, I'm talking about consultants in fashion. But imagine if in the future we're going to have VR, there is going to be a presentation in front of us, just models walking, us participating in a fashion show that we might not be able to participate in the physical world, or nobody would invite us. But in the metaverse, we might go and we might sit and experience whatever the brand wants us to experience. And the clothes will look so realistic, the materials will flow or have their own, characteristics shown. So I think, as I said, it's just a matter of time. And we are definitely going to have more and more virtual fashion shows. It's happening, but they just need to be perfected.
Mm-hmm. What is good metaverse strategy for you?
Before I answer that question, I just want to add something to my previous answer. Also, when it comes to a virtual fashion show, we have to understand that it is so much cost reducing, because you don't have to pay for an expensive venue, the cost of production, the cost of workforce, the cost of, models, makeup artists, just everything, everybody flying into a specific city, Paris, for example, just everything that goes into the organization of a specific fashion show for example, a global brand. All of these costs are going to be cut. And basically, imagine if we had what is called a digitally first collection, meaning that for example, I'm a famous fashion brand. I present my collection virtually, and then I see what is the interest from buyers, from just magazines, whoever is influential, whoever wants to buy specific garments, and then I can get all of my orders just by showing everything virtually, and then I go into production. This cuts so many costs. So there are so many advantages when it comes to virtual fashion shows. But to go back to strategy for the metaverse, first of all, I would like to say that it's so important to have a strategy for the metaverse, whether you are an individual, representing your maybe personal brand. You have a goal, you want to do something, you are a professional of some kind, you want to enter the metaverse and do something there, whether you're a brand or a company, it's so important to have a strategy. Since we're still waiting to see how the interoperability between, the metaverse is going to be tackled, how it's going to be solved. Now let's talk about companies and brands, for example. You want to enter a metaverse, you have no idea what to do. I would always say, consult somebody who knows what they're doing. But there are many self-professed experts, for Web3 now. I've seen a lot of people who are not from a certain industry, but now they call themselves experts for that industry in the Web3, So just make sure that whoever is consulting you is a person who actually knows what they're doing, and they have to have substantial knowledge from the what I call Web 2 era, and then are transferring it to the Web 3 era. So that is the first advice. My second advice when it comes to strategy, what I'm working on right now, I'm talking to a lot of founders of various metaverses. So people who have teams who are building their metaverses, they're yet to launch. They don't have a clear vision about their strategy. I'm talking about brand strategy. I'm talking about what kind of partnerships they want to make with brands. They're already being approached by different brands, and they are happy that this is happening. But what I'm telling them is, you have to make sure that you understand what your brand strategy is in the first place in order to attract the right kind of brands. You have to know what kind of values your metaverse is promoting, what kind of atmosphere, what kind of vibe, what type of brands you want to attract. What is the visual identity? What is the look of your metaverse? Some metaverses are more for the younger generations. Some metaverses that are being built are more refined, more, let's say, polished in a way that, very monochrome, very minimalistic design. Those two kinds, for example, if you have Decentraland on one side and that we know what it looks like, and then you have something that is, minimalistic on the other side, those are two completely different visual, directions. And they're going to attract completely different brands. But in order to attract the right players and to offer them something, you have to know, first of all, what you can offer them in your metaverse. But before that, you need to know what is your stylistic, what is your brand identity, what do you stand for, what kind of a world you're trying to build. And it's supposed to be very logical. It's supposed to be something that every founder or every team leader that is building a metaverse should know. But from my experience, they're working on so many different things. They're already so stretched, so basically they cannot follow what is happening when it comes to brand strategy. This is why, and actually, if you are a new player, you are a new metaverse, you are yet to attract brands. The first brands that you attract, especially if they are already established players, they are going to set the vibe of your metaverse. So you have to think carefully which kind of brands you're entering in a partnership with. So that is what my firm is mostly now working on, that type of consulting. Also for the companies and the brands, just basically coming up with solutions of how they can enter the metaverse. If we are representing a brand or a company, then we are discussing with the team leaders of a certain metaverse about what kind of options their metaverse can offer to the company, to the brand, and how they can find common grounds, and what are the technological, what are the visual options or limitations that we have, and basically just building new experiences inside these new worlds.
Okay. I mean, I know that I have heard at least that big companies don't get it right with Metaverse. So, it's understandable for the small ones, but what about the big companies out there? How can they get it right? I mean, the companies that already exist like for years and they want to move on to Metaverse, what they can do to get it right?
Yeah, first of all, the thing is that I think some of them still need to wait to see, because I think in just the next year, we are going to see many new metaverses. So basically, the fact that many brands have gone into Decentraland and Sandbox, and basically, the visibility and the presence is now in a way centralized in those two, most important metaverses at the moment. But I think we're going to have new players that are going to be offering something new. And I think that many established brands are just waiting to see how they can get it right. Many companies are already building their competences internally, building teams that can basically run this kind of cooperation and this kind of presence. But it's not true that the big players are still not present. For example, what Gucci is doing is amazing. They are, I always, like to say, 3 steps ahead of everybody else.